Have you ever been in the middle of a conversation with a girl, only to feel that dreaded silence creeping in? You panic. You scramble for anything to say, but your mind goes blank. And then it hits you. Why does this always happen? At first glance, it feels like a silly problem. You know how to talk. You've had hundreds of conversations in your life. So why, when it matters most, do the words just vanish? Here's the truth. It's not that you run out of things to say. It's that you're focused on the wrong things to say. And even worse, if you somehow manage to talk more, you risk walking straight into the friend zone if you're not careful. That's what most guys do. They either say nothing or they say the kind of things that kill attraction without realizing it. But by the time you finish watching this video that ends today, you'll not only learn how to keep a conversation flowing effortlessly, but how to make her feel curious, emotionally connected, and even a little addicted to talking to you. Because once you understand how attraction works through conversation, you'll never have to worry about awkward silences again. In fact, you'll start to enjoy them, because you'll know exactly what to say next and why it works. Let's dive in. Here's what most guys do the moment they finally break the ice with a girl. They turn into what I call the human questionnaire, firing off one bland question after another. So what do? Where are you from? Do you have siblings? How was your day? Sound familiar? It's like being trapped in a never-ending job interview with no job. And while your intentions might be good, you're trying to get to know her. The way you're going about it is actually pushing her away. Why? Because these questions feel mechanical. They don't make her feel anything. Worse, they put all the emotional pressure on her to make the conversation interesting, while you just tick boxes like you're filling out a dating app form. It's not that questions are bad, but when you ask one after another without stopping to connect or expand, the whole interaction starts to feel like a checklist and she'll tune out. What's missing isn't information, it's spark. And that spark doesn't come from questions. It comes from connection, curiosity, and playfulness. So if you've ever found yourself running out of things to say, the truth is you weren't really listening. You were just interviewing, and interviews don't create attraction. But don't worry, because the solution is much simpler than you think. Let's talk about what to do instead. Don't just ask, expand. So what should you do instead? Simple. Stop thinking of conversation as a quiz and start treating it like a dance. Here's the move. When you ask a question and she gives you an answer, don't jump to the next question. Pause, absorb it, then follow up with a statement. That one shift changes everything. Let's say you ask, do you have any pets? She says, yeah, I have 3 cats. Instead of replying with, oh cool, what are their names? Yawn, you say, ah, so you're a cat person. That probably means you're a little independent and secretly plotting world domination. Boom. Now you've just transformed a basic question into playful banter. You've made a statement, added a little personality, and opened the door to fun or flirty responses. You've gone from small talk to spark talk. Even better, you're giving her something to play off of, an emotional texture to react to. She can now tease you back, share a personal story, or even challenge your assumption. That's what keeps a conversation flowing, statements that expand, not just questions that extract. This technique works with almost any topic. She says she loves hiking. You say, so you're probably the type who disappears into the woods for 3 days and only returns for coffee and sarcasm. You don't need to be a comedian. You just need to be curious and a little bold. The key here is presence. When you're really listening, not just thinking about the next line, you'll find the perfect opportunity to expand, connect, and engage her on a deeper level. And that leads us to the next layer. How to create emotional polarity that pulls her in. The power of reversal. Be the selector. Here's something most guys never think about. You're not the only one choosing, she is too. But what if you flip that script? Most men, the second they feel a spark, instantly shift into "don't mess this up" mode. They start walking on eggshells, saying only safe things, being overly agreeable, thinking that the more likable they are, the better their chances. But that's exactly what kills attraction. Why? Because she doesn't want a man who's just trying to earn her approval. She wants someone who has standards of his own, who subtly communicates, "I don't know if you're right for me yet." That's where being the selector comes in. Let's go back to the earlier example. She says, "I have 3 cats." You say, "Uh-oh. We'd never get along. I'm a dog person," but you know what they say, dog lovers and cat lovers always have insane chemistry but disagree on everything else. Boom. You've just done 3 things at once. Disqualified her playfully, you're teasing, not rejecting. Created sexual tension, hinting at chemistry. Invited her to challenge you, which builds investment. Now she's not thinking, "How do I keep him interested?" And she's thinking, "Wait, what?" Challenge accepted. This subtle role reversal triggers something powerful in her psychology, the desire to prove herself, to stand out in your eyes. It's not about being rude. It's about playfully raising the bar and making her want to rise to it. And when done right, this dynamic keeps the conversation exciting, electric, and flirtatious. Next, let's look at how to reach an even deeper level of connection through emotional insight. Speak her emotional language. Cold reading. If you want to connect with a woman on a level that makes her stop, tilt her head, and think, "How does he know that about me?" then this is your secret weapon. It's called cold reading. No, this isn't a magic trick. It's not manipulation. It's the art of observing something small and making a deeper emotional guess based on it. Why does it work? Because most guys talk about facts. Women, on the other hand, are drawn to feelings, the emotional undercurrents behind those facts. Here's how you use it. Let's say she says something like, "Ugh, I've been on so many boring dates lately." Most guys would reply with, "Yeah, dating these days sucks, huh? Not terrible, but forgettable." Instead, you say, "I get the sense that you're the kind of girl who gets bored easily, like you crave excitement. And the second you realize someone's playing it safe, you're already halfway out the door." She blinks, smiles, maybe even laughs nervously. Because you didn't just hear what she said, you read it. You can take it further. I bet you're secretly addicted to the rush, new places, new people, new ideas. It's fun at first, but it makes it hard to find something that sticks right. When you say things like this, something magical happens. She feels seen, understood, intrigued, and in her mind, you're no longer a stranger. You're someone who gets her without needing her to spell it out. This is how you turn a casual chat into something she'll be thinking about long after the conversation ends. Up next, let's talk about how to inject your true passion into the conversation and make even the most ordinary topic come alive. Speak with passion, not just information. Here's something most guys completely overlook. It's not what you talk about that matters, it's how you talk about it. You could be discussing cooking dogs or your favorite childhood video game, and if your energy's flat, the conversation dies. But if your eyes light up, your voice gets animated, and you're genuinely excited, she feels it. And suddenly she's interested, not just in the topic, but in you. Why? Because enthusiasm is contagious. Let's say you're into travel. You could say, "Yeah, I like traveling." Or, "I remember the first time I got lost in Tokyo, total chaos, but the food, the people, the neon lights, it felt like I'd stepped into a different planet. I live for that feeling of being somewhere completely new." Big difference. Now she's not just hearing what you love, she's feeling why you love it. This is where real connection happens. Because when you share your passion, you're showing more than interests. You're revealing your identity, your values, and your zest for life. And here's the secret. Women are drawn to men who are lit up from the inside. You don't need to be rich, famous, or have the perfect job. You just need to be alive, excited by something bigger than yourself. So whatever lights you up, music, building your business, restoring motorcycles, don't hide it. Bring it into the conversation. Let her feel that fire. Because passion isn't just attractive, it's magnetic. Now let's take that magnetism one step further. By learning how to turn the entire conversation into playful, irresistible fun. Tease her like you mean it. Let's be real for a second. Most guys are terrified of teasing women. They're afraid it'll offend her or make them look immature. But here's the truth. Playful teasing is one of the most powerful attraction tools you have when you do it right. Why? Because teasing breaks tension. It creates inside jokes. It shifts the conversation from polite and predictable to fun and flirty. In short, it makes you stand out. Think about how kids flirt on the playground. They joke, they poke fun, they act like total goofballs. Why? Because it's fun. It's light. It creates connection without pressure. You can do the same, just with a bit more charm. Here are a few examples. She goes in for a high five. You pull your hand back. Whoa, too soon. Earn it first. She says she likes astrology. Oh no. A Gemini. That explains everything. She compliments your outfit, thanks. I dressed up just for you and only cried twice while picking this shirt. See what's happening. You're being playful, not mean. You're nudging her, not mocking her. And you're inviting her to play along. Teasing also builds something most conversations lack: emotional contrast. It flips between lighthearted and serious fun and deep. That tension, that's where chemistry lives. Just remember timing and tone matter. Smile. Read her energy. Keep it fun, not forced. If she teases back, you're golden. And if you're afraid of looking a little goofy, good. That means you're being real, and women love real. Next, let's talk about how to keep the conversation flowing naturally, so you never run out of things to say again. Transition smoothly and keep the threads alive. One of the biggest reasons guys run out of things to say isn't because they're boring. It's because they treat every topic like a dead end. They ask a question, get an answer, and then freeze scrambling to think of the next thing to say, like they're hopping across stones in a river, terrified of falling in. But great conversationalists don't hop. They flow. Here's the trick. Every time you speak, plant more than one thread she can grab onto. That way she has options to continue the conversation in whatever direction feels natural. Let's break it down. Instead of saying, "I love baseball," say, "I love baseball." My dad used to take me to games when I was a kid, so now it's kind of nostalgic for me. I miss those weekends, just the two of us yelling at the umpire like maniacs. Now she can respond to any of these: baseball, childhood memories, relationship with parents, nostalgia, weekend traditions. You've just given her 5 doors to walk through. Here's another example. She says, "I love to cook. My mom taught me when I was little." You could say, "That's awesome." I'm the same way with travel shows I start watching, and suddenly I'm planning an imaginary trip to Japan. Then ask, if money wasn't an issue, where would you go tomorrow? Just like that, you've shifted from food to TV to travel without missing a beat. This is the art of conversational improvisation. You don't need to force it. Just follow the breadcrumbs. When you learn to spot and expand on the threads she gives you, you'll never feel stuck or run out of things to say again. Now let's go one level deeper, where emotions and memory collide: emotional anchoring. Here's something most men never realize. Whatever she feels during your conversation gets linked to you. If she feels bored, distracted, or reminded of her ex, guess what she associates you with that feeling, even if it had nothing to do with you. But flip that around. If she feels excited, adventurous, alive, she subconsciously anchors those feelings to you. And that's powerful. How do you create those emotions? Ask questions that unlock her feelings, not just her opinions. She says she loves snowboarding. Don't ask what mountain she goes to. Ask, what do you feel the moment you're flying down that slope? She might say, it's this rush. I feel free wild like nothing else exists. Boom. Now she's emotionally lit up and those feelings are tied to you. You're no longer just a guy she's talking to. You're the feeling of freedom, of adventure, of being alive.